So I'll start off with the question, and then we'll turn it over to the audience. Can you talk about what was the genesis of the project, and kind of how close your original conception was to what you ended up making?
The original proposal pretty much ended up in the waste paper basket. I mean, you know what? It started out when Satoshi Shoko's partner told me about the Blessing of the Animals, and because he had been Paul Winter's percussionist there, so I thought, wow, that would make a great movie, because he was telling me the backstory and stuff. But then I was like, well, do humans really need to bless animals? Because I guess I'm from Japan, and as you can see from this Japanese folk story, in Japanese mythology, if you're a really, really lucky human, an animal comes and teaches you a lesson, because humans are kind of pretty stupid, and we need animal wisdom. So then I was like, well, how can I find a really, really subtle, nice, polite way to say maybe animals are blessing us without insulting any of the people who are, you know, it's all very Japanese, it's all very, we're trying to be nice and subtle. And somehow this folktale came to mind, but I didn't want it to end sadly. And I said, you know, there's this crane village in northern Japan. And Kristen goes, there's a story there. We're going to go film there. And along the way, I knew that I wanted a wonderful illustrator. And I kept looking on the internet, and it was either cheesy or sentimental, or everything that was like illustrated fables was like, yuck. And then I opened the page of the New Yorker, and I was like, that's her. And I could tell that she was influenced by many Japanese artists, even though she's originally hails from Hong Kong. And I just knew that one of them was Miyazaki, because your storytelling technique in your art. So I could name drop Miyazaki in my letter to you that I had worked with him. And so she wrote right back. And we all really, you know, then there was Vanessa Redgrave, right? It's like the queen versus the director. And then, of course, then William came on board. And so it was like racing a lot of thoroughbred racehorses, trying to stay in the chariot while being dragged behind a little bit. And sort of, anyway, it was an amazing collaboration. And a good friend of mine told me, just trust your instincts. I mean, we could have gone to, 4,000 sanctuaries around the world, but somehow I was guided to these. And then the real challenge that after Akie Topal, who's my producer, somehow magically, after she came on board as an investor, all of a sudden the next day I solved the mystery of, I'm sure the financial investment had nothing to do with it, but suddenly I thought, well, what is it that the crane is weaving? And I thought, oh, it's trust. And what is the one thing that you can't take from another person? It has to be given willingly. And so once I had cracked that, then the whole structure of which scene to show where and what to emphasize where.
The experience of watching this film, I think, is largely due to the sound. Most of what we shot in slow motion, all of what we shot in slow motion is silent. So there's this incredible sound design in this film where you hear feathers rustling and the tiger's stomach growling. And when I watched it the first time, I was like, I don't remember the tiger's stomach growling, because all of that was created afterwards by Cole Anderson, which is quite incredible.
But that doesn't really answer her question about the cinematography, which is absolutely stunning. We were very, very fortunate, and Sony is not a producer, but I have to say that Sony invented this unbelievable camera where you can shoot like this in unbelievable slow motion. I mean, nobody shot the cranes like this before. And then also she was like, when we got to see those tigers, she was like, I want to get inside the jaw of that tiger. Give me a 500mm lens.
This is exactly how I talk. Yeah, I mean, what's really amazing for me in watching the film is feeling the energy that happens in the film, because for me it was like this struggle with this teeny tiny screen. I was looking at everything through a screen about this big, and it was 30 degrees below zero out there, and I felt like those eagles had beat me every time. I was really like in a battle with the eagles, and so it's very thrilling to feel like it all lives on the screen.
But the one thing that I would say about Victo and Kirsten and William and everybody really who worked on the film, which is a lesson I learned from working with Miyazaki Hayao, and also for those of you who saw the kabuki at Lincoln Center. You know, the people who are at the top of their form, they all work like dogs. Sorry, metaphor unintended, pun unintended. There's so much hard work that went into this film that I just want to say I'm so
But,
grateful.
you know, I mean, part of that is the freedom that you give us, because it's a pleasure to work and to search without someone on your back telling you what to do, but trusting that you're going to find something worth looking at.
It seems amazing that a project, you know, that you had so much freedom for your collaborators and it seemed to take shape during the production. It's kind of amazing you knew when to stop. And I'm curious.
I really wanted monkeys in this movie.
I don't believe in shooting a lot. I've never shot a lot, and I just know when I'm done, and
When was the first shoot? How long ago?
2 years.
Super adoption, 2 years ago.
A little over 2 years ago.
You cut out a lot. I remember when I first came on board, like all the footage, most of them actually were shot already, and there are like few stories that's not included. And in the end, Linda decided it's not just a documentary kind of like show off that, you know, we did a lot of work. There's a story, there's an arc that goes with it. And even the sequence of the story, like we change it back and forth, even with the animation to kind of like better tell the story, like at which point the animation should come in, and then how the animation kind of like bring out the story of that part of the documentary.
Before time runs out, I want to make sure to give a shout out to Badass Brooklyn. Badass Brooklyn is an animal rescue. They're super dedicated, unbelievable. They do a great job.
I want to thank you all for coming, and Linda, thank you very much for showing your film here.